Hello everyone, welcome back to Geared Up, where I buy gear and I review it. So today we're going to talk about uniforms. Uniforms are incredibly important, especially when you're going force on force. You need to be able to identify the bad guy. Granted, nowadays everybody likes multicam, so everybody and their mother is making stuff out of multicam. Multicam is just a forced looking pattern. The specific stuff that the Army uses, according to my research, is the scorpion pattern. Frankly, I can't really tell the difference between something like this and maybe something like that, but, you know, that's just me. Somebody at one point did call me out for wearing those and say, hey, that's not the correct pattern. I'm like, all right, yep, whatever. Either way, we're going to talk about these uniforms today. Now, there are two different types of uniforms that the Army gives out to you. You've got your Summers, these guys right here, which are super, super light. They dry incredibly fast, especially when you end up in water. And because of that, this stuff right here is probably one of the more popular ones to get your hands on, just because of how light it is. You're able to move a lot faster. It feels, because it's super light, it doesn't feel like you're being dragged everywhere you go. Now, this is something that I like. It does have, for at least the top, you've got two pockets on the shoulders right there, and then you have, of course, buttons here in order to keep the pockets closed and open. You're not going to be able to fit much in there, but you can fit something in there, mainly like a wallet or maybe some ID cards. For your trousers, you've got your standard 8 pockets. You got 2 front pockets, you got the 2 back pockets right back here, and then you have your side pocket and then your leg pocket. All right, now the leg pockets on the Summers and the Winters are all the same. So the trousers are the same. You have the same number of pockets. You've got your 2, your 4, your 6, and your 8. So you have a total of 8 pockets there. The big difference is the weight, and you can feel it. The material for the Winters is a lot thicker, and because of that, it's not going to dry as fast, which sucks, especially when you have to traipse through a river. So it's going to be a little bit cold. Whereas the blouse is a zipper blouse. All right, you got a zipper blouse here, whereas the blouse for the Summers, they are buttons. Yay! Doesn't really make a difference aside from speed and whatnot, but your blouse does have an additional 2 pockets, and those ones are going to be on the chest, along with your pen pockets here, which can also be found on the Summers. I don't like the Winters just because of how heavy they are, and when I'm wearing gear, I just feel like I'm being dragged down, but that's just me. Maybe I'm a wimp, maybe I'm a wuss, or I like just being comfortable. That's just me. During Iraq and Afghanistan, we actually had a different uniform. I can't remember what it's called. I think it was the ASU. No, not the service uniform. The ACU, Army Combat Uniform. So we have OCPs. I can't remember what it's, the something pattern. I can't remember. But you had the Army Combat Uniform, which was a digital, horrible looking idea, and the military spent millions of dollars on that, saying it was a great idea when it wasn't. And then someone got the smart idea of saying, hey, what if we did multicam? So at one point in time, we actually did have 2 different uniforms going on in Iraq and Afghanistan, and this was the favorite of the 2. So people were having to buy it of their own accord. My argument is, look, if I can just find uniforms that have the roughly the same pattern, then I should be able to wear them, all right? And that's what we're gonna be talking about with these 3. I've got 3 different companies, and these different companies all produce combat pants and combat shirts. All right, so let's first talk about these guys here. My personal favorite, the 511 cargo pants. And if anybody else has bought in cargo pants or even cargo shorts, you know just how comfortable they are. They are super deep in the crotch area, so everything can be nice and flowy, and you don't feel like you're getting hugged, and they don't end up getting hot. You do have only 6 pant pockets instead of your 8, so there isn't one on the bottom, which that's completely fine. I don't really use those pockets anyway, but I like these a lot. They just feel comfy. They are made of a stretch-like material, so they are flexible. And then on top of that as well, they're just able to take a lot of abuse. So I like these pants quite a lot. And then with that, I also run these guys. I run this combat shirt. This combat shirt is super, super nice, super comfy, okay? So this guy, let's see, I can't remember exactly what it was that he had on him. Is it on the tag? I can't see it on the tag. It doesn't matter. But this stuff will dry out super fast. It will absorb a little bit of sweat, but then of course with that absorption, as you're running through, these side areas right here have some ventilation to help cool you off. The arms are made almost about the same material as the standard issue blouses, and because of that, they're just super tough and they'll take a lot of abuse. I like running this stuff a lot more. If I had the choice, this is what I would show up to work in. But work won't allow me to do it because according to Army regulation, yada yada, I don't like Army regulation in certain areas. The combat shirt is only good for exercises, for deployments, and then it's at the mercy of your commander to say, hey, you can or cannot wear that. And that's what happened a lot during Afghanistan and Iraq, is that even though that this stuff was standard issue and given out on deployments, commanders were like, no, you will wear the standard issue blouse and trousers. I don't know. Somebody had a grudge against something, I guess. I don't know. This is the stuff that I prefer running with because at the end of the day, if I'm going to have to fight, I at least want to be able to fight comfortable. And that's just me. The next set of equipment that I have, this stuff is from UF Pro. UF Pro is a company based out of Croatia, and they make some good stuff. My only downside that I have with these guys is that it is tight in the crotch area, so everything is getting hugged a little bit more, and I don't like that. Aside from that, they have a lot of pockets. They have a lot of good pockets. They have side pockets here for ventilation. Well, technically these aren't even pockets. They're just meant for ventilation, but I like to put stuff on the inside. You have, I think it was like 17 pockets on this thing, if I remember counting right. 17 pockets of being able to just put stuff in there. And then of course it actually has, it's got a side pocket down inside here. Check that out. Boom. And it's a zipper. I definitely prefer zippers when it comes to pant legs and stuff like that. I don't care so much for Velcro. It's a little too loud. If you know the joke of how do you stay quiet when you're trying to open up Velcro, you yank it apart and you yell. Either way, I don't care for Velcro. I prefer the zipper, but that's neither here nor there. Now, the cool thing about this is that it does have areas to put padding for your knee pads. All right, so you're able to open up this section right here, and you're able to slide down those knee pads and just make life feel a lot easier, especially when you're having to get down in the kneeling position. So the 511s don't have that, but I do have my own knee pads to utilize. But I would prefer something like this. This is something that I like. Another thing that they've done is that they've taken the back and the small of their back, they've added additional padding. So this is all padded right here, so that when you're carrying a ruck, when you have your kit on, or when you got a battle belt on, this helps cushion that area that gets irritated easily. Now, the other thing that I don't care for this guy is this belt and how it's sewn in. It's great that they have this Velcro here, because if I wanted to, I could just attach my battle belt right to this thing and I wouldn't have to worry about having a secondary layer. And that was their main idea, I believe, is like, hey, instead of having to have 2 layers, let's just have 1 layer already, and then you can just attach it right away. That's good and all, but I would prefer to have a little bit more option in that. Say, granted, if I really wanted to, I could have all this stuff just taken off. I could unstitch it and just continue from there. But at the end of the day, if I was going out of 10, I would definitely say that these guys are probably a 6, and these guys are probably a 7 out of 10 when it comes to great stuff. I don't have any 10 out of 10s yet. I'm trying to find it, and I'll let you know as soon as I do. Now, when it comes to the combat shirt, my only regret when I have with this combat shirt is that the chest area and the neck are Velcro. I don't care for that stuff. All right, the 511 one you'll see here, this 511 one is a zipper. All right, I prefer this zipper mainly because if I needed to, I'm able to zip it up all the way up to my neck, and then I have a little bit more control of how far down it needs to go, and I can make it a collared shirt. Whereas these guys, it's a little bit harder to make this collared, and then it doesn't allow me to secure it farther down. So that's my only downside on this one. But the good thing is that on the shoulders, it has additional padding. Oh, and my gosh, it just feels so good, especially when you're running kit. It allows you to have all that additional heavy stuff on there, and the padding, it spreads out pretty good. So the weight will be able to be spread across your shoulders instead of just focused on one point. Another good thing about these guys, especially when you're having to do ruck marches and all that good stuff, on the waist, there's additional padding as well, so that you don't have to worry about ruck rub. Those plastic frames getting onto your waist, and then as you're rucking, they just rub up and down and cause scarring and a whole bunch of other unwanted. So this guy, I definitely love him. The only thing I would change is, like I said, is I would change this guy, and I would probably change him to a zipper. That is what I'd end up doing. Now, the last one. This is from Tactical World. Tactical World is a Chinese-based company. The only thing that I like about this guy, for the trousers at least, is the knee pads, all right? So these knee pads can be taken out if I so desire. They're all Velcro on that inside, so I'm able to just rip them apart, and that's what it would look like without. So great and all, I appreciate that. That's pretty much the only thing that I'm able to appreciate about this, because the front part of it is Velcro, and if you're unclasping and clasping as often as you may be, then this stuff is going to eventually just run off, and it's not going to hug it anymore. So that's my only downside. I do appreciate the number of pockets. Pockets are good and all that good stuff, but at the end of the day, it's also very tight across the front, and it hugs. I do not like it, all right? But the knee pads are good. These type of knee pads you can actually just find just about anywhere, or you can get the standard around the back of the knees type. Okay, now the combat shirt. The combat shirt feels really, really nice. The only downside is that it is made of, let's see, what was I believe it was like 65% polyester, 35% cotton or something like that. The downside of this guy is that there's nothing tough about it. So like with this shirt here, or with the 511 shirt here, they have a material that is a lot tougher, that it will take more beating. Whereas this, it's a very, very tender fabric. So if I run into the woods, this stuff is gonna get snagged and it's gonna get ripped. It's not very good. Now, it does allow it does form across the body, and it will allow for good air to come through and help cool you off. And then the neck does have a zipper, so that's good there. But at the end of the day, this fabric and these the Velcro patches here on the side, one, it's not going to hold your stuff for long, and then two, it's just going to get ripped super, super easy. So I highly recommend that when you're looking for stuff, find stuff that is comfortable, yes, but is also incredibly durable, that you can just continue to run it and run it and run it. My argument is that you either go with something from 511, you go with stuff from there's some Pentagon stuff, the company Pentagon, and there's the company Proper. Proper has got some really good stuff as well. And then if you're looking for stuff maybe that's a little bit cheaper, UF Pro. UF Pro makes some really good stuff. Like I said, a Croatian-based company, but nonetheless, they have some good equipment, and it's relatively cheap as well, and it moves pretty fast. So again, this was the uniform review. Thank you for listening, guys, and I'll see you next week.